Welcome back. In this video, we're going to go over scroll paginations in tables. I'm currently in the app builder and I have a table from a previous video. In the previous video, we went over server-side pagination, and scroll pagination is basically a server-side pagination with just a different pagination format. So right now we have the standard pagination, which is the tab pagination, where we can go from page to page using the pagination controls. With scroll pagination, you can think of a workflow where you scroll and then the system or the fetch trigger gets called and your table data fetch function gets called, and thus your app pulling in some new sets of data. All right. So scroll pagination, you see that usually in your feed, live feeds, social media applications, so on and so forth. It's very, very common if you want to give a user that scroll experience where they're just going on and they're always seeing some new data as they scroll. This is the way to go. All right. So let's configure this table to go from a tab-based type pagination to a scroll-based pagination. I'm going to go back into the attributes of my table. I'm going to scroll over to where it says scroll pagination. I'm going to turn this on. All right. So as you can see, as I turn it on, the tab pagination disappears. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to my function and just make sure that my function is geared towards scroll pagination. All right, so I'm going to go back into my function builder and go to the table, get table user data. All right, so if you notice, instead of my function setting the response to the user list, it's now adding the response to the existing user list. So when it comes to scroll pagination, you get to decide how you want to do this. Some people might remove the old, add the new. Some people might remove some of the old and add some new. So you can think of a situation where someone takes off maybe the first 10 or maybe the first 5 and then adds 20, because here we're adding 20. That way, you can always control the maximum number of elements. I've also seen people do pagination in both directions, scrolling down and scrolling back up. So it's really up to you to decide how you want to do this. But in our case, we're basically just appending our new user data set to the existing data set. All right. So that's perfect. So it's literally that simple. All we just had to do was turn on scroll pagination and basically adjust our function. All right. Now, in some cases, you might run into issues because of maybe your table does not have a height on the data wrapper. For example, here I have 80%. So let's see what happens if I try to scroll. All right. So as you can see, nothing happened. And that's because we're using percentages. So if we switch this out, let's say, call it 700 pixels. All right. Now when we scroll, you see it triggers, it pulls in the next set. Scroll again, the next set gets triggered. Let me get to the preview mode so you can see it very clearly. All right, so you can see my scroll bar. As I scroll to the bottom, as you can see, it readjusts because new sets of data gets pulled in. I scroll again, and there you go. New sets of data gets pulled in. Now I'm at the bottom. And there you go, some new sets of data get pulled in. All right. So this is basically scroll pagination in a nutshell. All right. It's really that simple. All right. That's it for this video. See you in the next one.